You ever get those projects that you kind of wish you wouldn't have? So, here's a story behind this. The story goes like this. This person owned this for a long time, stopped working, doesn't know why, and then he bought a new one. He used a new one for a couple years, then decided to, put it away. That one stopped working. Then he decided that he was going to look up and see how much it was to fix this. And the other one that he has, he found that this one was a whole lot cheaper. So he decided to go online and buy a new carburetor for it. Hence the reason why that one's missing. And this is the one that he bought. I have no thoughts that it wouldn't work. I mean, it seems like it's complete. So the only thing I would say is maybe the jetting's a little off. They are not known for being perfect. I mean, they sell them to go on a whole lot of things. So he brought it over to me, and then yeah, he even gave me an extra pair of my little mini vice grips. So now I have two. I'll probably give it back to him now, but he said I could just keep it. Anyway, so I think this video is going to be about installing a new carburetor on a Tecumseh or a Toro, whatever. It is a Tecumseh motor, but it's a Toro mower. Everything is loose. Everything is off. I counted to see if I can find all the bolts and screws and nuts and everything, and so far it seems like it is there, except for I don't see an air filter cover, so we might have to locate one of those. I'm sure I have one, but other than that, from what I gathered, it should all be here. We'll need a new fuel line. We have the PCV line, and yeah, I guess we just have to get started on it. So to take this off, we have to take the oil cap off, which you probably can't see. We have oil. It's not good oil, but it's oil. Okay. Not 100% sure why he decided to take it apart and then bring it to me. Maybe that's how he knew he had to get a new carb, the other one was just super bad. That's a whole lot of oil. I barely touched it. Oh yeah, that fuel line's hard as a rock. Luckily, these are not the hardest to take off. I do, however, want to make sure there's not going to be any unwanted surprises. Excuse me. No, I don't think so. Okay, I'm just going to cut a new fuel line, put it on, and then we'll install the carb. Get all this stuff out of the way. So, on here, there's usually a variety of holes. For mowers, we don't care about these. Oops. These on the bottom. We care about these two. Usually, it's this one right here. So that's what I'm going to try first. I could be wrong, but in general, it's usually the one that gets to be used. So this is obviously not a Tecumseh OEM carb. But to be honest, here's the thing about that. Sorry, I can't see. The OEM ones are really expensive because they don't really make them anymore. In addition to that, I need a new fuel clip. Okay, new fuel clip. Anyway, so where was I? So they don't make them anymore because Tecumseh no longer with us. So they're crazy expensive. Aftermarket ones, though, not so much. But just like everything else, you know, they're not the highest of quality. But they get the job done. I mean, it's really hard to argue. Oh, look. Yeah, I don't know why that didn't work. Plug solid. And do you really want to spend that much money on a Tecumseh carb for a mower like this? This deck has years left, that's about it. Now I suppose if you took care of it, it would have a few more years. That's, you know, I'm not going to argue that. But it's still a older mower, self-propel, and these like to just stop working randomly. You're not going to see a whole lot there, but I'm just holding it in place. And this is getting difficult. I'm gonna struggle with this. Finally. So now, probably should have done this with it off. Oh well. And actually, I don't know if I have a cover like that. Let me check. So, what do you want first, the good news or the bad news? The good news is I was able to find this cover, well, the right one for this style. It says Craftsman on it, but yeah, I don't think the guy's really going to matter, really going to care. The bad news, however, is the air filter I do not have, at least not the right type. The one that should go on here. I'll show you when I'm done. My correct air filter is like double this size. It will slip on the same way, but like I said, it's just longer, or excuse me, wider. But that should work. There we go. Now, Time for the exhaust. Oh my gosh, there we go. The weirdest way I meet people, I tell you. So, in my ad, when I sell stuff, I put in there that if you have an old one, I will take a discount off if you buy one from me. As long as you bring it, and you know, if it's super rusty or something like that, you know, that I'm not going to keep or take a discount off for, but as long as you have one that, you know, it doesn't really matter the age, like I would take this one in because, like I said, there's no rust or anything like that. And then that's it. And then I mean, my way of thinking about it was this. I am helping someone get rid of trash. I don't have to drive and get it. I don't have to search for it. And someone out there gets a mower when I'm done. Okay, good. So it's just kind of like a win-win in my opinion. But it seems like more recently I've been having a lot of people that don't buy them. They just ask me if they can fix theirs. And that's fine with me, don't get me wrong. It's easier, I don't have to sell anything. But it's just odd. This seems to be the first year where that's happening. Almost like about 50% of the messages I get now. I got done emptying out the water tank. I know what you heard. Water tank. I say that because that's literally the only thing that was in there. I did that before I put the line on, so. And I dried it off. I just wanted to show what was in there. I realized I forgot. Put fuel in it. New plug. It has the air filter now. It's the wrong one, but it will work. I'm going to let it run a little bit. I want to let it get warm before changing the oil, and that should be fine. It's probably going to smoke because I did see a whole lot of oil in the exhaust outlet, so it's going to be a little smoky, but letting it run for a little bit will give it a chance to burn off that oil as well as warm up the oil. So after that, this should be good, and then I just have to sharpen the blade. So kind of want to go over something real quick. It's kind of one of those things where, you know, I badmouth Tecumseh a little bit and saying how much I don't like their carbs and how a lot of times I'll recycle them and whatnot. And that's true, I do. But it's not because they're just a bad motor. They're actually pretty good. Let me explain. If you look at that, that says 6.5 horsepower. If you look at a current one, let's say a Briggs, it's going to say, let's say the bigger ones, 7.25 gross foot-pounds of torque. That's torque. That's not horsepower. There is a difference. Let me show you. So I don't show any unnecessary items, I'm just going to kind of do it for you. And I'll put it on the screen as well. So to figure out horsepower from torque, you take your torque amount, so let's say 7.25, and we multiply that by the RPM. Technically this should be running at 3600, so we're just going to say 3600. That gives us 26,100. Then we divide that by 5252, and then that gives us our actual horsepower rating. So, as you can tell, it's just under 5 horsepower. This is 6.5. That's quite a bit more. Or if you want to get technical, 4 and 1273 over 1313. Now, knowing that, this can cut through a lot. It's older, don't get me wrong, but that's what I'm saying. It's a good, bad engine. The cable needs a little lubrication, to say the least. But as you can tell, it's smoky. I'm going to turn the fan on, let this run outside, lubricate the oil, the cable to make sure it doesn't happen again. I noticed that the self-propel either does not work or the cable is just out of tension. I don't think it works. He said something about that, and he said not to worry about it though, so I'm not going to worry about it. Other than that, yeah, just going to let it run. That should be how you install a Tecumseh Carb. So if your mower is just not starting because you left it outside, and you sprayed starting fluid down the intake and it ran for a couple seconds, you can buy a kit. I looked up one very similar to this one. I would prefer to buy the carb only, unless you don't have an air filter. Then I tried to get one that has the air filter, but I already had them. Ones without the air filter were running like 12 bucks. Ones with the air filter, unfortunately it comes with a cheap spark plug too, and a fuel filter and fuel line. So if you need all that, great. But if you don't, just get the ones you need. They're all more or less the same. I think those were like $14, $15. That's not bad. Or a kit's like 10 bucks. So you can go through the hassle of rebuilding it or just buy a new one. You know, it's just easier this way. That's what I do whenever I buy one. I don't even bother rebuild Tecumsehs very often unless it's old or the person specifically asks me to. Or if it's a big one. If it doesn't have the primer bulb, then I will actually rebuild those. Those are worth rebuilding because those are the good carbs. I don't like the primer bulb versions of this though. Okay, I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night. Definitely put a thumbs up, that helps me, and I will catch you in the next video. Have a good night.